Hey there, podcast peeps. Welcome to another episode of the Age Groupies Podcast, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Lindsay, Hiken, and along with my co-host Mike Ergo, I'm here to talk to you about all things related to endurance sports from an amateur athlete perspective, about living that multi-sport lifestyle, and to share the other random thoughts that pop into our heads. You can follow this show on Instagram at Age Groupies, join our Age Groupies page on Facebook, and look us up by name, Lindsay, Hiken, and Mike Ergo on Strava. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email us at agegroupies@gmail.com. And if you enjoy the show, please leave a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. So today is a solo episode in the sense that it's just me hosting, no Mike. He covered for me a couple episodes in a row while I was on vacation, so I'm giving him a little break. And I have a couple guests with me today, my friends Corrine and Amy. I've spoken about them a little bit on previous episodes because they are my girlfriends from Half Moon Bay that came up to spectate when I did Ironman Santa Rosa. And after that race, they said, oh, hey, we want to sign up for a race and train with you. And so we selected the Folsom Women's Triathlon Festival. That was weekend before last as our target race. And we trained together all summer and had a blast. And so I have the girls on today to talk about their why and just sort of share their experience in training and doing a sprint together. And so without further ado, here are Amy and Corrine. Okay. Welcome to the Age Groupies Podcast. I'm here today with my good buddies, Corrine and Amy. And for the listeners who have been following us on Instagram or Facebook page, you've seen some pictures of these women and you've heard me talk about them in previous episodes. They are amazing. And they came to my Ironman in Santa Rosa and then said to me after, let's do a race together. So we just recently did the Women's Triathlon Festival in Folsom, and it was super fun. And I just wanted to have them share with you guys their experience. So welcome, Corrine and Amy.
Thank you, Lindsay, for having us on your podcast.
Yeah, so super exciting. All right, so let's go kind of back a little bit and tell. I'll just have you guys each kind of tell your sort of like story or athletic background. So let's start with Amy. Just tell me your kind of what your deal is coming into multi-sport.
Okay. Well, I'm a yoga teacher, so I really enjoy kind of this idea of lay low and glow. And I love meditation, and I have been a runner on and off, but Corrine and I did a triathlon about 10 years ago, I think, and a sprint, and it was fun. I remember the thing that I really loved about it was the training and how much I enjoyed that and enjoyed the connection time with friends. We trained with a group of women, and it also pushed me a little bit. I'm not inclined to push myself. So my goal for that triathlon was really just to finish it, to enjoy the process.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's a little bit of, I guess my background, and then we can talk about, how I got inspired to come. Should I go ahead and share that piece now?
No, we'll get to that in a minute. So Corrine, tell us a little bit about your athletic background and everything.
Okay. So, I've always loved running. And so, let me think about this. Actually, I wish I'd thought about this before we got on the call. Sports gives me a lot of joy, and I've always loved running and swimming and doing a variety of things, hiking. I've loved just doing variety, not just one thing. So triathlon, it's amazing to me that I didn't do more of them because I do appreciate the variety. And I think I have a great genetic background to be a strong athlete. My dad was a runner. My mom's a great athlete, so that it kind of comes easy. But it definitely is something that allows me to connect with myself, and I feel like it's something really important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So did you do any races, triathlons between the one that you and Amy did 10 years ago and this one, or was there?
No, I didn't.
So you guys both took about a decade gap. And so why did you guys decide to do one 2019? You can go first, Corrine, if you'd like.
Well, I was watching this beast of a woman complete an Ironman. And I thought, dang, she's my idol. And it was something I just felt inspired. I felt inspired to push myself. And then it definitely was a piece of connecting with both of you to do some training and making it fun. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was important.
Yes. Let me just say this really quickly. You are hella fast. And I just want to kind of put it out there. We all had a great race. We had great race podiums all the way across the board, which I thought was awesome. And we were all kind of chasing each other on the bike course, and it was just so much fun. I definitely appreciate you kind of being out there as a rabbit for me on the course, because I've been taking it easy on my knees all year on the bike. And towards the end of the bike, I was able to just I was like, oh, I saw Corrine up there. I've got to try to chase her down. And it was so fun. It was so much fun to have you guys with me. It made the end of my season so much better than it would have been on my own, because I would have just probably fizzled out after Ironman and taken it easy, to be honest. So, So Amy, how come you decided to do one after?
Well, it was really inspired by you, Lindsay, just watching your process and getting to hear and witness, listening to your podcast and hearing about your journey and, watching you go through it. I was so inspired. And then on the day of, or prior to, maybe about a week prior, I just knew that I wanted to be there just to witness you and to support you. And so Corrine and I reached out to Corrine, and we decided to make a day of it to come up to Santa Rosa. And we just planned the whole day. We brought our bikes, and I felt like we had a full day up there while you were working so hard.
Amy even made signs. We should show pics of the signs.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
They are in the video that I made of my Ironman journey that's on the Age Groupies page, I think, but I will send individual pictures to you. They were so cute and bright. And I didn't expect you guys to be up there. So I was super surprised when I saw you guys, and I really appreciated it. I'm sure any listeners who've done any kind of long race knows how great it is to see friendly face especially if you do it at a low point. And I didn't recognize these people when I got off my bike. Josh was like, look who's here. I'm like, what? I couldn't figure out what he was saying. He's like, Corrine and Amy are standing right here. I was like, oh. But at mile 22, I think, or so on the run, coming out of the darkness, and you guys were just standing there on the corner, made such a huge difference to me. But it's interesting for me to hear you guys say that I inspired you, because I guess kind of what I was alluding to when I was saying Corrine's fast and I was chasing her is that you guys both inspire me. The way that you each attacked this race that we're going to talk about in a minute is very different from me. I feel like I don't have necessarily the killer instinct that Corrine has, which is useful, in a race, because you try to go faster. And sometimes I'm lacking that. So you inspire that in me. And then I also don't have the sort of ability to lay low and glow either. I'm in the middle. So I'm always kind of on this fence of kind of wanting to go fast, but also kind of wanting to just chill out and enjoy the journey. So it was really nice for me to be training with two people that have very different, and you guys kind of swapped places that way, I feel like, based on description of what you're normally like and what you guys were doing this time. So I'm going to have you guys each talk a little bit about that. Amy, why don't you talk a little bit about going from this lay low and glow to the beast mode that you got into for this race?
Yeah. So that's interesting. I know it's interesting how to talk a little bit about the way we kind of naturally have approached athleticism in the past. And Corrine and I have had some good conversations about this as well. And so, for me, in deciding that I wanted to do the sprint triathlon, I was talking to my sister about it. I remember right where we were hiking through the redwoods, and I was just talking about being a little more physical. I've been enjoying doing HIIT workouts more and really enjoying the benefits psychologically and physically that I've gotten from those. And I realized there is a part of me. I was a sprinter. I was a runner in high school for a little while, and I was a sprinter, and I love that. I love that energy. And so she reflected to me how happy she noticed I was when I trained for that last triathlon. So, that's when I was like, you know what, I think it's time to sign up for another one. And I reached out, and it all worked out for us to do it together. But I think my approach was different in that I did want to enjoy the training and enjoy the connection time. But I also began to really feel, this idea, well, the swimming especially was a real push for me. And I wanted to get my stroke cleaner. I was getting some advice from my friend Nancy, a little shout out to Nancy. And I was trying to push myself. She was encouraging me to watch the clock. I've also been doing a lot of mountain biking over the last couple of years. And so I also had a friend encourage me. I was just going to do the race on the mountain bike. And he said, you really should try a road bike. It's much more efficient. You'll go much faster. So this idea of efficiency and speed and also having good equipment, like that's just something I've never really treated myself to. Mm-hmm. So I borrowed a really nice bike. And just started streamlining a little bit, and it felt so good to push. And I started to, watch the clock, and it just started to feel really good. And I realized that for me, I think some of that lay low and glow is a bit of a holding back as well. Mm-hmm. And so the exercise for me was to push myself and to compete against myself, and also kind of fight some of these old messages about maybe to, cool my jets a little and not push so hard, which feels like it's in direct opposition maybe to someone who is kind of naturally a little more competitive. Mm-hmm. So for me, it felt like an edge to be more competitive. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a fun edge to play with. And it was really uncomfortable, actually, it was fun and a little uncomfortable, to try myself. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to that because I definitely over the last 9 years, I've had all different types of races. I've had some races where I've been super fit, super healthy, and they were short enough that I could really lay the hammer down, and I've done that, and it's felt really good. And I've had races where I've fallen apart. I've had races where I finished, but I went really slow, and it just felt like I was kind of in the flow and I was enjoying, I've had all different kinds, but I do identify with sometimes I will default back into I'm just about the journey as a form of not really having to hold myself accountable to the training or accountable to racing, to just be I'm not really here to race. I'm just here to, have a good time. And it's a fear response more than it is, an inability to race or not a desire to race, and so I can relate to that. So Corrine, you, like I just said, have that natural, I think, propensity to compete. And I know you've been an elite runner for a long time. I'd like to hear about your journey, because I know it was a little different for you this time around.
It definitely was different. And I think back to one of your podcasts where you talk about, and you even mentioned this to me live, was just about how this sport offers you this opportunity to learn about yourself in ways that you didn't anticipate. Mm-hmm. So when I said yes to signing up, I'm like, oh, this will be fun. And then I realized, oh, dang, I'm going to learn a lot about myself. And because I was coming off of a year of not working out consistently, and my body hurt because I was in a demanding job that I didn't love. And so I felt kind of ragged. We started. And it was I think the thing for me was, I'm not going to be able to do this in the ways that I've done it before. And I'm going to have to let go of the competitive, that competitive drive. Mm-hmm. And I want to instead take this one step at a time and appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was a big shift for me. Mm-hmm. But it was only out of necessity. It's not like I'm a saint that went, oh, I'm just going to take a little, it was, my body hurt. So, that was really interesting to train that way and to let go of the self-talk and do what my body was saying and not push too hard. And I loved one of your podcasts. You talked about the benefits of resting.
Yes.
Oh, and that's not something I ever spent a lot of time thinking about because I just push. And this time around, I really noticed the benefits of giving my body a rest and not doing too much.
Yeah.
And that was powerful. So, yeah.
I think
your question.
And what I noticed about both of you and for myself too, finding that little edge, I think contributed to having a good race overall. You know, I mean, you did well, you were competitive in the race, obviously. But I feel like we can get caught up in our kind of default setting is, like you said, not resting, pushing, or maybe resting too much and not really finding that edge. And that can contribute to not enjoying the process, not enjoying the sport, not enjoying the race day, maybe not having a good, quote unquote, good race. And I think it's important to note that can be different every time. So, you know, what you said, like you said, you've had times where your body just you were in good shape and it didn't matter. But I think being willing to assess on a regular basis, like what your body needs or mentally, emotionally, and then finding an edge within that, like, is the edge that I don't ever want to gain a pound so I don't ever not run or whatever, because I struggle with that. Like I have in the past injured myself just because I wanted to maintain a certain level of fitness or weight or something. So I would do exercises. I knew that would kind of attain that goal, but they weren't really attaining my overall goal of having like good mental health and physical health and having longevity in the sport. It was just going to keep me at that weight for right then. And so that edge in that regard is not running more. The edge is not running.
Yeah.
You know, and, okay, so let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the actual race. And I want to hear kind of your experiences. I mean, I was there with you, but obviously on race day, you end up, once the gun goes off, everyone's on their own, you know, little journey. So, Amy and Corrine, why don't you just tell me a little bit about like how the race went for you, how you felt in the water and, you know, on each leg of the race.
Okay. Well, first I would recommend anybody doing a try, do it somewhere where you can go the night before and sit by a pool and relax. That was the best part. But getting up, going with you guys in the morning, and then so step by step in the race, is that what you
sure. Yeah.
Yep. So definitely it was intimidating getting in that water because it was so windy. And realizing I overheard somebody say, you should shoot for that mountain over there because there's a current. And my coach told me to do that, is what they said. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, good advice. Like, I'm so glad I just heard that. But when I got in the water, definitely just feeling like I need to go a pace. This is long. I'm being pulled by a current, you know, a little panicky. But by the time I got out, I felt like I had stayed at a pretty good pace. So I felt good about it.
Were you fourth woman out of the water?
Number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good pace.
Yeah, it was a great pace.
And then I got to the transition and it felt relaxed. I felt like, I felt like I had time and it was nice. I mean, I just felt relaxed. But I got on the bike in the transition area, so I got yelled at.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hold the buzz for a minute there. They're like, I'm not supposed to do that. But out on the ride, it was wonderful because there were no cars.
Yeah.
Just racers.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I felt
what did you think of that course? It's like a little up and down, like short little up, down, up, down, up, down. I mean, it could be a little hard on the quads that way, you know.
But it offered some variety.
Yeah, I liked it too for that.
Yeah. And it was fun to lap back and see people. And be able to scream at y'all and yeah. I mean, it was fun in some regards. I will say I was between the two of you and every lap I was trying to catch you
And every lap I could see Corinne was getting a little further away and Amy was getting a little closer. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
It's a good motivator though. It's great.
Yeah. And after the bike, I felt strong. I think I was number 7 to leave to run. And I ran the wrong way. And they had to come find me. And I ran back. And I was just glad the weather was nice and cool. And there was plenty of support out on the course. I felt like I knew where I was going.
You looked like you were having a good run.
It felt good. Yeah. And I was able to sprint in at the end. I had a little left.
That's awesome.
That was fun.
So it sounds like kind of some of the run injuries you had shared with me earlier last year or whatever are gone now. It seems like. Yeah,
there's just, I think, having this consistent workout and being happy while having it, not feeling like it was punishment, and has made my body feel a lot healthier.
Awesome. That's awesome. So Amy, let's hear about your race.
That's amazing. I loved hearing that, Corinne. I'm so glad. I think that's something we all shared. It felt like we were it was part of our whys. We talked about the why before, and I know maybe the why is less important in the sprint.
No, it's important all the time.
Yeah, but it felt good to kind of connect for all of us, and we're committed to enjoying the process, I think.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice just to have some time the night before, to have some food together the morning of, and just to share in that experience. And that's the connection piece that drew me. And then, of course, so for me, it was always going to be about the swim. That was my edge. And that's the piece that I've been playing with in my training. And, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. in Half Moon Bay. I've been going to the high school pool. Ooh. No frills. And I've been.
Can I just say really quickly, the way your husband described, because we all live in Half Moon Bay, but I don't swim in Half Moon Bay because I just do that master's. And your husband was like, Amy won't go over the hill and swim. She just wants to swim right here. And it's the high school pool. And he's like, I went in there with her the other day and there was just this giant spiraling goober floating in the water of like high school. And I was like, well, you're not selling me on it. That's for sure. He's like, but Amy just keeps getting in that water.
I know. I'm like, who is this person? Who am I? I even talked to my sister one day driving. She's in New York. And we were laughing like, what am I doing here? And then that same day, though, I remember as I was swimming, I realized I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. I'm learning. I'm engaged. And that's something I hope that I continue for the rest of my life. So, but the swim piece, that was going to be my edge. And one of the things I realized after the race is that just because I knew that people get afraid in the water and there was a chance that that was going to happen to me, I didn't really think it would actually happen to me. Like, you know what I mean? I knew that it was a possibility. I thought because I knew that it wouldn't happen. But sure enough, we got in the water beforehand, like you suggested, and splashed the water, did some strokes, felt great. It was windy. There was a current. But as soon as I said go, and that was the mad rush, I just kind of lost it. And I realized, there is a part of me it's not, I'm not going to gun for the front. I was like, all right, I'm going to let these people go. I'll kind of chill and hang towards the back. And I just had a really hard time. I went really slow. I realized, in the very back, I was like, oh, I'm kind of with my people. I'm like with everyone who's panicking. A little piece that I've realized on reflection is like, I have a tendency when I'm in struggle, it's like, I want to help everybody else.
Right.
So the women, I'm encouraging them. And I'm like, you stay in your lane, shut up, and just do your thing. Just get to the buoy and back.
Right.
Yeah. So I had some fear. I had a hard time putting my face in the water. And I'll tell you what, I want to go back and do that same course. I want to get in the lake. I want to go swim in the ocean. It feels like it's something I still want to go back and try to conquer.
Yeah.
So anyway, super slow swim. I was probably one of the last people out of the water, but part of my why and part of my intention was to try to enjoy the swim, to not, to try to go my pace, and then to really push on the bike and then the best I could on the run. So that's what I did. So the transitions were fun. I enjoyed it. I love pushing hard on the bike. I did get my own road bike, as you guys know, that I love.
Yeah.
And
your road bike is amazing. I have road bike envy.
And then, just trying to chase you guys down the bike. And then
you were doing a good job of doing that.
Oh,
yeah.
You were flying.
Yeah.
And I tried to remember your rookie mistakes for the triathlon. I was trying to be careful to keep my helmet off. I did run with my bike gloves on for a little ways. That was a good look. And I was dumping water on my head. I was actually warm. I'm glad you guys thought it was cool because I thought it was very warm at that point.
Oh,
it was revving hot.
Yeah.
And it just felt fun to come in and have you guys cheering me on. And it's just
awesome.
So fun afterwards. And I was so shocked when, I was really looking for Corrine's name on the list. Like, Corrine, did you win the damn thing?
Yeah.
And, I think we could barely see the list, but Corrine was like, you came in third. I came in second. You came in third. So that was kind of fun.
You guys killed it. Yeah, that's right. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and
what about you, Lindsay? I mean,
what about?
Share your experience.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I had no qualms about this race at all. I was like, whatever. I just want to go have fun with my friends. And that was really my goal, is to just do whatever I could. I've been still having knee issues on the bike every time I ride. So I was kind of like, nah, I'm going to have to go a slower pace and not really do. So my expectations were pretty low in terms of performance. Cause I'm like, well, if you lose a bunch of time on the bike in any triathlon, it's kind of over for the most part. But what I didn't expect, because I love to open water swim, not in the ocean, as people know, but anywhere else, I did not expect to get motion sick. And the way the rollers were big enough and it was choppy enough from the wind that Corrine and I were swimming right next to each other, and the pace was perfect. We're just dude. And I had one too many, whoa, with the wave. And all of a sudden my mouth just filled with the trail mix, granola that I ate that morning. And I was like, what? And my stomach was like, good. I flipped over, and Corrine later was like, yeah, we were swimming right. And I looked over and I was like, where'd you go? I just had to stop and let granola out of my mouth. And so I was a little upset stomach. It took that was not that far from the first turn buoy when that happened, pretty close to the turn buoy. And from that point on, it took me a little while to get it back together and get into a rhythm. So the swim kind of threw me off a little bit. And I was kind of starting to panic about am I going to feel queasy on the bike? Am I going to just feel queasy? But really, literally I got into transition and just drank a little water and just kind of took a second, and I felt fine. So that was okay. And the bike was fine. And actually my knees didn't hurt. So at the very end, when I kind of realized that we're going okay, I ratchet up the pace a little bit, which felt good.
Right. That's when you disappeared from me. I was getting close to you. And then all of a sudden, wait, where'd Lindsay go? Here that you saw the finish line, you were gone.
Well, because I was I came around this corner, I was going back, and you were right there, and you're like, I'm trying to catch up with you. And I was like, I don't have that much further to go. My knees feel good. I was like, I'm out. So I just, that actually felt good. And I felt okay on the run. And, I just felt I had a really fun time. It was so fun to see you guys out there. And I love to go to races the night before, if it's a little bit, if it's not really local, and do that whole thing. So I was glad I could share that with you guys. One of my favorite things to do is gather up some of my girls and go and have a little food and chit chat and laugh and relax the night before the race. For me, that's part of the whole thing, is doing that whole community part. So, we had so much fun.
You've trained us well, Lindsay. Now we are converted to the night before, the pool and a hot tub. And I loved how, the Airbnb, we could get there at 3. So you just said, I'll be there at 3.
I'll be chill. Yeah, I'm always down to chill. That was good. And, I enjoyed getting a little podium finish. That was fun. It was so fun to be on the podium and have you guys on the podium. And that's the benefit, I think, to some smaller races. Some of the bigger races, can be really exciting, but I'll come in 33rd out of 147. I'll be like, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? in the upper part of the group.
We found our sweet spot, like a nice small race, destination, destination.
I wanted to share one thing with the listeners that I learned, which was, you gave me that lotion, that cream the night before, and I rubbed it on my body.
Well, and you helped. So that was Sombra, Sombra. You guys,
it is so freaking good.
Yes, good stuff, all natural.
Yeah.
And then you also taped up my knee. That was nice that was amazing.
Yeah, with the KT tape, yeah.
Yes. So we exchanged some tips.
Yeah. So Sombra, I'm going to order some. And if you're a listener and you have like aches and pains, I put it on my knees a little bit and I put it on my like Achilles, my ankles, because I had some Achilles like tenderness there. And when on race day, I didn't have any tenderness. And I was like, are you seriously? I mean, it was kind of amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using it ever since the race as well.
So what are you guys going to do next? Corrine, you have any idea? I mean, do you want to do more? Are you done? Was this a one-off? Like, do you have any thoughts about multi-sport, or kind of if you want to take this further?
Aren't we going to tie ourselves together and do a run swim thing?
Yes, I did.
I don't know about that.
If you can go that as slow as I'm going.
What's it called? Corrine, you might have to pull us in a little rubber raft or something.
What's that race called?
So there's a race called an Otelo, it's a swim run type race. And I want to find a local one and try it. For people who haven't, if you listen to the Rich Roll podcast and go back in his archives, you can hear he did the world championships of it, which is actually in Otelo, which is like in Norway or something. And I have friends who've started doing it around here, and it's a partner, and you tie yourself you're tethered to this partner, and you do swim runs. So you'll have a map, and then you have to get into a certain part of the lake, swim, get out, run to another part, get in, out. So a friend of mine did one in Chicago, in Lake Michigan. I think they said they ran, I don't know, I can't remember what the mileage was, 14 miles, 18 miles, 14 miles, I think, and swam 2 or 3 total, but they got in and out of the water 18 times. And you don't have to get in an exact place. And I was kind of I told Corrine, I go, maybe, because I'm looking for someone to do it with me. I was like, Corrine, maybe you should do it with me. But after watching you swim and run, you might need a slightly faster part. I just see you dragging me with this tether. I'm I can't.
I'll make the signs for you ladies.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're going to have to get a foursome so we can all go and suffer through this together. Because none of us know what we're doing.
I'm thinking
Donner.
I'm thinking sprint again.
Yeah, Donner Lake next July.
I really didn't, I was happy that we did it, but I feel like I definitely could use a few more rounds before trying to, because I am tempted by a longer distance.
Oh, yeah.
Ride, a longer run, but I got to get the swim thing figured out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking maybe another sprint. And it was funny, right after the triathlon, it feels like everyone was asking, are you going to do another one? Mm-hmm. And I was like, give me a minute, just hold on. I'm not ready to answer that question. But, now it's been about a week. Mm-hmm. And, it would be fun to continue to train and to have something else on the calendar. I really appreciate having that structure and something to look forward to and something to train toward.
Well, I would love to do Donner with you guys next year, because that's one of my favorite, and it's a sprint. And we could definitely do something before then, but it's towards the end of July, and it's one of my all-time favorite races.
Okay.
It's a super sprint. I think the swim is only maybe 400 meters or something. It's short. The ride is only 6 miles. It's just from the bottom of Donner Pass to the top and back down, but there's no warm up to the climb. So you get on your bike at the bottom, transitions right at the bottom. So you basically only have crossing from the beach to the bottom of that little intersection. That's the only warm up you get before you start climbing. They do have an Olympic and a half Ironman at the same weekend. Olympic goes up and over a little bit, and the half goes up and all the way over and down to what's it called? There's a campground at the very end of Donner Pass, and then back up and over. But the sprint itself is super fun, just because it's that huge climb to the top of Donner and then just right back down, and then you run partially around the lake. It's
I was wondering. I was actually looking last night was looking for something like in January, like to get me through the holidays. There's like some stuff going on in LA.
Oh yeah. Definitely can go to SoCal. And one thing I was going to suggest too for you, Amy, to look at is there's some races locally and they won't start till like springtime. So you have a little bit of time to train for them. But I've done they're all swim only. And so it's like an open water. So for example, at Lake Del Valle, there's a 1 mile and a 2 mile swim. Oh, and I'll go do it with you. I like doing them. And so it just gives you a chance to focus on the swim and get a longer 1 or 2 mile in there, before you go do a longer triathlon. Cause I think for you, like you said, the swim's really so you could kind of do like a Del Valle I think it's in June, and then do maybe at Donner do the Olympic, which is a 1 mile swim. And then, a 24 mile ride and a 10K. That's just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there, ladies.
All right.
So what else? Do you guys have anything else you want to share about your experience or any thoughts that you thought would be good to say to the listeners?
I guess I'm curious for you, Lindsay, and for you too, Corrine, about like training versus the event. And what do you, just like thinking about your training going forward and where you are interested in focusing. Well, I know, Lindsay, you've got what are you doing? Western States?
Trans Rocky. Oh God, girl, Western States you got to qualify for. I'm not there yet.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay.
Trans Rockies run in next August. So
just the Trans Rockies run, right?
Yes, just that.
A little 6-day run. Just a little 6-day run. So for me, I'll just answer your question. For me now, my training is very focused on strength training. So I'm doing like some HIIT workouts and stuff like that. And then running. That's now that I'm done with the race with you guys, that's really where my focus is on that. But in general, in all these years of doing triathlon, I sort of trained year round because I was with a team that basically would do stuff year round. And because a lot of it is social, like in the winter, it's a little less focused. It's just, going for a Saturday ride, going for a Sunday long run. And so that I found it like there are people who just take like the winter off and then they train specifically for races. For me, because a lot of it is about the community and about just keeping general good health and fitness, I kind of train year round. So I sort of had a pattern because of the way my team operates. Saturday ride, Sunday long run, Tuesday night track, and then I'll have like a strength on Thursday, and then I have some swims in there in the morning. And that's pretty much what I do year round. Now, how hard I'm going at track, or if I'm very focused on my track workout, or if I'm, really going extra long on the long days on riding on Saturday or running on Sunday, it kind of will depend on whether or not it's off season or if there's a race happening. But I have found that it's been a nice way to be part of the community, is to just kind of train year round with a group. That's my own personal.
Is Team Sheeper, is that focused on triathlon training? Is that why it's multi-sport?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's triathlon specific. But they do a lot of extra stuff. Like in November, we're doing a thing where everyone's riding from Santa Cruz down to Big Sur, and then camping one night, and then doing a trail run that is called Sea to the Sky. I think it's 14 miles of trail. So they'll run up and then come back down, and then we'll have the van take us back, I guess. I'm going to do just a run portion of that because I'm not really down with the cycling right now. But so Team Sheeper has a lot of extracurricular multi-sport activities that the coach puts together for us, especially in the off season, just like random whatever. And then with my swim team, we do swim. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but we do swim challenges in the winter. So, and we did a thing called Killer Quad. So on Halloween, we're going to swim for an hour straight, no stopping, but you can swim as many laps as you get in. So it doesn't matter. You can swim at a slow pace. You can do whatever stroke you want. You can switch strokes, but it's no stopping. And then on Thanksgiving, right around Thanksgiving, we'll do 5,000 yards. And then at Christmas, we'll do 7,500 yards. And then New Year's Day, we do 10,000 yards. That's like 6.5 miles, the 10,000. So I will do that because we always get good swag for finishing all four. And I'm a whore. Well, we get like backpacks, like embroidered embroidered towels and stuff. And I'm like a whore for swag. Yeah. So that's me. So Corinne, what are you thinking about in terms of training?
I have been thinking about buying a bike. This is a good time of year. Apparently, somebody was telling me Sunday or Saturday. It's a good time of year because winter's coming. Mm-hmm. So I'll probably get a good deal. But that's my next goal is until I really have a bike.
Yeah.
But just I like the variety. So maintaining the swim, run. I did a great yoga class on Sunday.
Was it Amy's class? Amy's class is.
Well, I would have done that one. I didn't. That one's always good.
Always good.
This one was fascinating.
Yeah, Corinne and I did a 50-mile ride together on Saturday. Lindsay, we would have roped you into it if you hadn't been relaxing in Mexico beachside.
Yeah.
So we had a great ride, and
I only fell once.
Oh my God, you only fell once. When have you fallen before? You said it like you've fall every time.
I fall a lot.
At your Ironman, there is a story there. I don't know if we want to get into that, but
I mean, I would love to get into that. I'm not sure if Corinne wants to get into that.
I have scars. Let's just say I have scars.
Folks, we'll just say this really quickly. I did an Ironman and I didn't end up in the med tent, but one of my spectators did end up in the med tent at my Ironman.
That's another whole podcast.
Yeah.
We'll go into that. Yeah. Some other day. Well, that sounds good. So 50-mile run and then yoga and
50-mile ride.
Ride.
The next day we did a yin yoga class and which is the longer, deeper holds. We both attended the class and it was really great. We did psoas and hip flexors and it just felt incredible.
It was the perfect yoga class for what we, for our hips. And I think it had, how many poses do you do in that class? Like 5 total for an hour and a half?
Exactly.
It's like you hold it forever.
That's right.
It's really good.
Talking about learning about yourself, yin yoga has done that for me. I haven't done it in a while, but when I was getting my teacher training certification, I would do some yin classes. And what I noticed was that my mind just goes like, get me out of this. Like at first I'm like, and then I just suddenly I'm like, get me out of, and I just battle, and the things that come up for me. And, I was laughing because I was in a yin class and the yoga teacher came over and she said, I think she could just tell maybe I was holding myself. So she put her hand on me and she said, you must be having some stuff come up for you. And I said, my ex-husband's mother had just come out of my hips. You know what I mean?
Lindsay, that just means you were doing it right. I think that's the point, is to get to that point of discomfort and then to settle in and stay a while and to see what comes up. And stuff does come up physically, but it also comes up emotionally, feeling wise. And so it's really a great practice for that.
I think yoga is a good practice for triathletes, not just because it helps stretch out things that we're always doing this forward motion, running, cycling, like it's good to work out the hip flexors and things like that. It's the physical stuff, but also that practice of being able to get into an uncomfortable position and then sort of relax into it and just acknowledge that it's there, but that I've used that practice on the course. I use that in Ironman where I was like, I'm tired of this bike saddle. But I've done enough yoga that I'm like, I can relax into something that's not physically that comfortable and just kind of be there and be present. And that's been a good practice for me.
I think for me, the edge I was talking about earlier is, for me, it's kind of getting into that heightened state where I'm breathing hard, my heart's really beating, and being comfortable staying there and knowing I'm safe, I'm fit enough for it, and more getting out of my head with the messaging, which is like stop and scale back, telling myself it's okay to push harder. It's okay to remain in this state. Because like I said, the yin stuff, I've been doing that type of therapeutic yoga for years, meditation. I mean, I could just sit there forever and bliss out. But for me to really push, that's my edge.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we did it, guys. Anything else you want to share?
Thank you, Coach Lindsay.
Yeah, it was so inspiring. The other piece, I'll just give a little shout out to Mike, because when Corrine and I came up to Santa Rosa, we saw Mike running with the flag. Remember that, Corrine?
Yeah.
We were like, how is he going to do that? How is he going to maintain that? And will he maintain it? And it was just so interesting. I think at that point, he hadn't reached out to you yet, right? Yeah. And so,
you just saw this random guy. Yeah, I know. He's pretty inspiring. I have to say, I enjoyed every minute of my Ironman, but I could not fathom carrying of anything. And by, like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even want a water bottle in my hands. They're like, do you want to take this with you? I'm like, nope. Like, I don't want anything touching me. So Mike's very inspiring that way.
Yeah. And it has been fun to listen to your podcast and to be inspired by it and to get all the tips and the training. And so we are age groupies. And I will just say also, I didn't really know what an age groupie was until, I thought that was a really sweet term that you guys coined, but no, actually during the race, I realized that we are age groupers.
Right.
So
yes,
we are age groupies. I thought we were just groupies of your podcast, but
no. Yeah. You got an age group podium finish. Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. It was a lot of fun. Thanks. Until next time.
Alrighty, that concludes today's episode of the Age Groupies Podcast with me, Lindsay Hiken, and my co-host, Mike Ergo. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can follow the show on Instagram at Age Groupies, join our Age Groupies page on Facebook, and look us up by name, Lindsay Hiken and Mike Ergo on Strava. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email us at agegroupies@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, as this really helps us get more exposure while we try to grow this little venture. And of course, if you have friends you think might like the show, please be sure to share it with them. But for now, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.